Hi, welcome to Shell's Pearls of Wisdom. This is a good friend of mine, Stephanie.
Hi.
I've known Stephanie since I was a sophomore, she was a freshman.
Yeah, you're a year older than me.
Yeah, don't remind me.
She looks younger than me, though.
No, I think we look both young, actually. I'm not gonna lie, I think our age group kind of aged kind of gracefully there, I like.
Yeah,
but
I'll take it.
It's nice to sit down with Stephanie in her home. She invited me into her beautiful home. I met her two beautiful kids and her fiance. And I said, okay, if I call him the fiance?
Yeah, sure, why not?
He's like a boyfriend, husband, fiance, like he's all that.
We've been together long enough, so.
Yeah, I was going to say they've been together for almost a decade, so I'm going to call him her husband. That's just easier for me.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, this is easier for me. And I sat and I talked to them for about an hour before we even started taping. Great guy, I have to admit. Funny. And they have a really good, but he has they have a good dynamic. And I like that. Okay. They bust each other's balls, and I like that. I think a relationship where the guy and the girl can actually, like, make fun of each other is...
And we do.
A really good relationship.
We do more than we probably should. But.
No, I liked it. I laughed. It's fun. But he's a great guy. So he's not on camera. But I do want to give you props that you... Nice kid.
Yeah, well, he's a little younger than I am.
So 5 years, that's nothing.
Everyone thinks he's older than me, so I guess
I was going to say, when she told me that he was 5 years, I was like, oh, he looks older than you.
You know what? I tell him, everyone says, like, oh, you're robbing the cradle, and he'll correct me, and he'll correct them and say, no, I'm robbing the Craftmatic adjustable bed. I always want to kill him.
He's like, no, he just, like, fucked her out of the old folks' home.
I know. He's, like admitting me to,
like... she was about to be put out for pasture, and he's like, I'm just going to take her in. Like,
sure. He's doing me a favor.
Right. He's just, somebody has to change her diapers. Like, no, it's like, she's not that old.
No, I'm not wearing any diapers. No.
She's just free-balling everywhere.
No more than you.
Right. I'm like, I just better just glue a toilet to my ass. Because I
feel like we're just picking up where we left off.
But, so, for people that don't know, Stephanie, she is what I would call a white version of me. Because she's very bubbly, she's very charismatic, she's short.
I'm 5 foot.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
I got 2 inches on her.
That was my mother's fault.
I'm pretty proud about that. I got 2 inches on her. I'm like, yes.
I can't help it. I just, everything comes in fun size, Michelle.
Yes, it's fun size. We're not short. We're fun size.
That's right. Don't let anybody tell you different.
Tell you different. But so I kind of like reached out to her and I asked her if she did not mind me interviewing her because just like anybody else, she has a story to tell. And I
have lots of stories.
She has lots of stories, and I'm just finding out some of them more as I'm getting to know her right now today. So, I want to touch into.
You're going to regret that decision.
I know. Like,
after 20 years, you're going to regret it.
She's like, how much time you got?
I told her just to clear the day. I mean, why not?
Yeah. It's okay, though, because this is why a video is long, because you can go very long. But
I talk too much.
It's okay.
Have you met me?
You're an Italian. I get it.
No, I'm Sicilian.
Sicilian! I forgot. I learned that today. I thought she was always just Italian. She told me today she was actually Sicilian.
You gotta,
It's a difference. There is
differentiate between the two.
There is a difference.
At least that's what I was told.
No,
we'll go with that.
Like calling someone who's Hispanic if they're Mexican, they're Puerto Rican. They will kill me. I might get shanked in the shower. So I gotta watch my.
I am not doing that to you here.
Please, not here. You heard that? Here.
We got 4 respect.
I was gonna say she didn't say not at all. She said here. She's like in my home. We bag them and trunk them. Just
you see this? I got white everywhere.
Right.
It's just a mess.
She didn't get the Dexter proof for her house yet before I came over. I just see like the lining of the plastic on her furniture. I'm like, I think I'm okay. This Sicilian's not going to get me today. But
no, that would have been my grandmother's house. I'm pretty sure.
So, basically, with her being this personality that is so bigger than life, and as you see, she's a giggle monster. I love that too.
Don't.
I love it. I giggle too. But it's kind of...
That's actually one of the things I remember about you in high school.
Is I laugh a lot. I do. I laugh a lot.
Yeah, you're a big personality.
And loud. I'm loud. But we're loud. It's okay. When you're short, you got to be loud. I don't know.
In my family, you had to be short, loud, and talk faster. Everybody either interrupted you or
they
didn't hear you.
You got to eat fast. Let people steal your food.
I chased my brother into the garage because he took our stuffing outside. He said he was going to put it out there in the cold, and we all knew better.
He's going to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
My brothers would lick one fry from my McDonald's.
Or maybe it was my aunt's lasagna. I don't remember which it was. I just know we chased him down.
Lasagna, I might have to chase somebody down. Stuffing, he could cap. Lasagna, I might have to shank him. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Go for it.
But the reason why I felt like she was a great person to talk to, because even with her being this larger than life personality, she's gone through stuff like anybody. She survived it, which is not everybody can say. Not everybody can say that they came out of something a better person or learned from it or try to be. Yeah, everybody's a work in progress. I think even today you're probably still a work in progress, which is nice, because anybody that thinks that they're finished, then they're wrong. Every day you're never too old to keep doing stuff. You're never too old. Always, I tell my teenager, you're never too old to reinvent yourself. And I'm currently doing that now. I am too. Nice. So I want to talk about something that happened, I would say probably 1996-ish then? Yeah. 96, 95? Yeah, that's when I was freshman year. Yeah. 96. So this is something I just learned recently too. She shared with me when we were talking about her pearls of wisdom, what she would like to pass on to someone that's younger than her or might have gone through something. Yeah. And she shared this story about her freshman year of high school, that she had been inappropriately touched by a fellow student. And with knowing who she was then, I would have never known anything like this happened. I would have never suspected it. I would have never thought it. Not at all. So to even know that you went through something as life-altering as that makes me really feel bad, almost bad, because I knew you and we just laughed and we were just goofy. You would sing in the hallway, be dancing and bopping around, and I never in my wildest dream would think oh, this person went through something that was really tragic. Never in a day. No, I looking back on it now, I just with everything that has gone on in my own personal life, when that incident happened, I was kind of awkward. I wasn't like the popular girl. I wore t-shirt and jeans, and looking back at some pictures with makeup, there was some questionable moments. We all went through those moments. So when you have somebody who is showing you attention that all the girls liked, I knew it was wrong, but I also didn't know how to process it, if that makes sense, because it was happening, and it was happening during class. So that's how brazen this person was. It was during class, and that actually is the reason why a lot of people didn't believe me and why I didn't say much, because they were thinking how could this possibly gotten away? Well, how could you have done that without nobody noticing, A, and B, he wouldn't have touched you anyway. It was one of those moments. So do you think, with that being said, do you think a lot of how far it went, you allowed it to go, or not even allowed, because that's not a good word, but do you think maybe it went further because maybe you didn't feel like your worth was worth enough, so that... I was never touched that way. So I think it was just hard for me to process what was happening. I think I went into I suppose what people would call a freeze mode, because it's a fight or flight. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I knew that I wanted to yell at him, and I knew I wanted to scream, and I wanted to hit him because I knew it was wrong. My heart was jumping out of my chest, literally, and I wanted to just
kind of run, and I froze. Like
it's the fight. If anybody knows the fight or flight, it's like whenever you're put in a situation where it's danger, you sense danger, like your spidey sense is tingling, and you're like, something's not right. You're either gonna fight, you're gonna flight, which is run, or you're gonna freeze. And a lot of people forget about the freezing because they think that all the things you're gonna do is you're gonna fight back or you're gonna run away. Like those are the two most logical things that people think people do. But a lot of times you can't process what's going on, so a lot of times you just freeze up.
And I did. The way he touched me, it wasn't like consistent. It was like a touch here for a minute, like testing the waters, and then he turned back around, and then he came back a second time, and by the time I processed the first time, it was onto the second. It was by the third time that he came and he was reaching for my pants area, was when I finally stood up, and I was like, you know what, I need to use the bathroom. And I asked my teacher if I could use the bathroom, and go to the nurse, and I freaked out. Like I just lost it in the bathroom, and I was scared, and I didn't tell the teacher. I didn't know what to do, and I was able to go to the nurse, and I went to the nurse, and I think that was my first bout of anxiety, really, was just dealing with that, because I didn't really know how to process, and the nurse didn't know what was wrong with me, and she kept me for like 2 periods
because she didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't say, because I didn't know how to explain it, and
right.
And verbalize it. There was no it was so quick.
I see you now because I can see your face up close. You seem to be very, like, it's emotional, and it's okay.
A little bit.
I don't think you thought this would happen because you feel like sometimes it's been long enough but when you go bring yourself back into that moment, you have to be open to anything, and I think this is hitting harder than what you probably even thought yourself.
Probably. I think as a young girl, as a freshman in high school, you're learning your peers around you. You're learning school. You're trying to keep up with work. You want to get involved. I guess there's, pecking order with other, students, people that you get to know as friends, people that you don't know. And, when stuff like this comes up, it's kind of like it throws like a kink in your chain, because you're not, you're moseying about and doing your own stuff, and then all of a sudden someone throws you a curveball. Yeah. And I kind of felt like I was unraveling because I didn't know if I was in the wrong, if I'd done something, if he was just doing it because he could. I didn't actually know, and I think maybe this also plays into now, where I always have to know details of stuff, because I don't know what the game plan was. I mean, finding more details later,
So first, let me break it down. Did this only happen one day, one period, or did this go on for many times?
One day, one period.
Okay.
I was lucky there.
So not that I'm a psychologist, therapist or anything, but being someone who is just a female who has been put in dicey situations herself, where you're left feeling like, oh my God, did I do something? Did this happen? Because I like the classic thing, if your mom and dad say to bring your butt home by 11 o'clock and you go past curfew and now something happened after that 11 o'clock, you're like, man, maybe if I just would have been home on time.
Right?
So do you feel like there was anything at that particular moment that you blamed on yourself for why this even took place?
I blamed that I allowed it to continue. That the minute he touched me the first time, that should have been the end of it.
Right.
But because I was so like, did that really just happen? Like what was that about?
Right.
Like, why? And the thing is that I was in math class. Okay, we had our computer lab that week. So we were in the computer lab downstairs, and I think you kind of remember where those hallways were. And I was sitting here, and he was sitting behind me here. So he was facing the computers this way. I was facing my computers this way. He would turn his chair around and come next to me and talk to me and asking me questions about what was on our screens. That was how he masked it. So to everybody sitting next to me and around me, he was talking like you and I are talking.
But underneath the table, things were going on.
Yeah.
Okay. First, I want to say I appreciate you even sharing that, because I know it's not easy. And for those who are hearing this too, I'll tell you right now, I have goosebumps, because this is never a subject that anytime you hear, even if you prepare yourself for hearing it, it still gives you like these really bad heebie-jeebies, and it just makes me feel really, really sick to my stomach to even know that this could even happen, because right now we both have teenagers in high school, and it just really sits bad with me knowing that something this horrific can happen, and it happened right underneath the noses of like however many students were there and how many, whatever teacher was present.
Well, she was very upset when she found out. Once I finally said something, I'd called my mom and she came to get me, and I called my brother, who's like my big guardian, you know, and they were visibly upset. And my teacher finally pulled me aside like a couple days later and was like, "Why didn't you say anything to me?" She goes, "I would have said something." And I just looked at her and I said, "I didn't know how."
Right. Were you embarrassed?
I was scared. Yeah, because when it happened, the rumors started about, "Oh, she's lying. It was in the middle of class. How is that possible?" I wore baggy t-shirts practically down to my knees because...
I remember you were kind of like grungy.
Yeah, you know what? It was just comfortable for me because, well, that and I'm lazy. So, you know, get up. The only time I ever dressed up was for variety shows and performing on stage. So, you know, I really, unless I was doing something important, you know, I didn't care. It was high school.
And like Stephanie was like always kind of like someone that could easily fade into the background.
Yeah.
Because even though she was a bubbly personality, it wasn't like she was trying to be showy or flashy. It wasn't like...
It was never one of those.
No, it was never like when she walked in the room, everybody was like, "Ooh." It was more like...
Well, fine then.
Well, I mean, but I did the same thing. Like, I didn't want to be like, I was... When I wanted to be noticed, I was noticed.
Right.
Like, most of the time, it was just kind of like, I felt good just kind of being...
Where you were.
Right.
And we were friends with everybody.
Right. So it wasn't like people didn't know you. It was just, you didn't have to announce your presence.
No, and I didn't.
No. I think your personality was presence enough.
Yeah.
So it's easy for people to be like, "Oh, what? But Stephanie?" And into my mind, I'm like, those are the people who are like the easiest targets because you don't stand out. You don't need a lot of attention. People are not always looking at you. You're the easier one to target because of those reasons.
Well, and if it makes you, if it brings to light anything more interesting about me is that I was the shy girl growing up in elementary school. I was the girl that was made fun of.
Right.
And I was quiet. Can you imagine me being quiet?
It's okay.
I was the quiet one.
I was quiet too at one point.
Well, and my mom switched me schools, and that's where I learned to find my voice. Right. So
you could reinvent yourself because nobody knew you.
Right. And then come freshman year, and then this happened, I was put...
Like reverting back.
I was put right back into my quiet state. Like and I knew something was wrong, and what
was the harshest thing someone said to you after everything came up?
They told me I was lying, and they said they didn't believe me because he would never touch a person like me because I'm not his type.
And what type was that?
Popular, pretty, tall, no. It stuck with me. It stuck with me. And
so not only do you have this horrific thing happen, but then you're made to feel ashamed for your own body image because now you're like, of course you want to touch me. Who would touch me? And now you're blaming yourself for things that really are not something that you should feel bad for.
Yeah, and my mom went through she kept me home for about a week. And I had the school call, and they wanted to switch my scheduling around. And my mom had a field day. She told our principal, no. She's like, she didn't do anything.
Yeah, why would
you switch his schedule around?
Right.
Not hers. You're not going to inconvenience my daughter for something she didn't do.
Exactly.
So, I was very fortunate because that's what they did. They said that the boy had apologized and he felt bad, and
so he admitted to it.
He did.
Wow.
Yeah, he was still able to go to school. I mean, he graduated with me still.
I need a timeout. I need to process this.
Well, I mean,
I'm so sorry. I need to process this because
you need your water.
No, I need liquor. Bump this water. I need like real liquor right now.
Hold on, I'll go get you vodka. I'll get it out of the cabinet.
Let me tell you, because he admitted it, which
he apologized. He said he was high.
But then after the culprit admits that he did this act, not only did he get to continue with school, but he continued with your school. I know people that got kicked out of school for fights and got transferred to a whole nother school for fighting. So, not that fights are any worse or better.
No.
But
we've seen our fair share.
Right. But if you're going to kick someone out for getting into a fist fight with two people that are probably consensually fighting, how would you not expel a student who sexually assaulted another student? That's our legal injustice in our school system that failed her. Because honestly, right now, I'm upset, and I'm glad that you're not. But I'm upset because in my mind, that would have been the first thing I would have thought to do as a principal or as a person.
Well, and the thing is that
especially when he admits it, if you deny, then it's like, okay, fine, it could be her word against his word. But the fact that he actually took ownership and he still,
I think maybe that's why. Because he didn't deny it, he said he screwed up.
So because I screwed up, now I get.
I think that was it. And look, I've never been one to, put ripples in the water, so to speak, and make waves, unless I really have to. I've learned better since, but at the time, I didn't. I don't like confrontation if I have to, but when I do, then I'm out there. Everybody says I have an acid tongue when I finally do, and I am that way now. But then I wasn't, and I care about everybody, so I felt bad.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, I know.
Some in my heart was like, oh, this girl actually felt bad.
I did because and then I find out that he said that he was high. That was inebriating his judgment. So not only did I have this issue, but then we're dealing with a student that was high in class. Now, I don't know how legit that is. I don't know if that was a cop-out. I really don't know. I really don't care.
I'm thinking that his parents were like, dude, just say that you're drunk. Just say you were high and you had bad judgment and everything's going to get...
Well, and I don't really care.
I don't care if you were high. I don't care if you were drunk. I don't care if you were blind. I don't care if you ate tacos for lunch and now you were just fat. I don't care. There's never a reason for you to be like, I think it's appropriate for me to go touch somebody. And no, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And you know what? I
know
my teenager
you don't.
The same.
I know you don't.
Well,
but the school system... And I'm happy that you were able to forgive him for your benefit, though.
I did.
Not for him.
No, for me.
For you.
I did, because you know what? I didn't see him again until graduation. I saw him in the halls once in a blue moon.
Do you think they purposely, for the rest of the remainder of your 3 years in high school, they purposely made sure that you guys had no...
I have no idea.
Because that's kind of weird. I mean, we didn't go to a huge school.
No, I don't know. And I'll be honest, I knew he hung around a lot of the popular people and all of the big A crowds.
Kept you kind of not going into that crowd?
Yeah, a little bit. I just didn't want to associate in there. And you know what? And that was okay. Because I had a whole bunch of friends, people, and my personality, and I've worked so hard to be out of that shy bubble since I've been a kid to... develop this, well, like you called it, larger than life personality. And I still have it to this day. It doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? And honestly, it's not my hang up. It's theirs.
Correct.
So for me, I really don't think about it. So when someone says, oh, it was a molestation case,
Which it was.
It is. I still have a hard time saying it that way.
Yeah.
I still call it harassment. Because I have a hard time processing.
Do you think you're doing that because then you're trying to not make it so big because it helped you deal with it too?
I just don't like getting people in trouble. and I didn't want to.
So you didn't want to label it this big label because you knew that would be a bigger consequence.
Right, and I also knew that there were other people that have been through worse, so I thought, ugh. I thought this was a blip on a machine.
I could have been like
something bigger.
I could have been like violently gang raped. This is nothing. That is,
just for the record, that's not okay either.
No. So I'm glad that she's gonna do this. We're at the 25-minute mark here. See, I told you to go super fast.
It does. It really does.
So just to kind of like, because we're gonna definitely do a part, maybe even a part 3 on this one, because I don't feel like I've asked enough questions for this follow up. But just to kind of like throw in there before we wrap up this first segment, it does not matter how large or how small a situation is, whether it was a rape, whether it was a molestation, whether it was just verbal, whether it was just mental harassment. It's still wrong, and it doesn't have these different levels of wrongness. And that's what a lot of people who have been put in these situations believe. They believe, well, if it wasn't like detrimental, then it can't be that bad. And it's like, no, because whether you believe it or not, it left you in a different state of mind, and you started having anxiety, and you started having some other issues from that, and it carried with you. It carries with you today when you're still getting emotional talking about it. So how small of an incident could this have really been when it still brings you to almost tears? It has to be something that actually made a dent. Now, society might try to make you feel like it's not a big deal. They might be trying to make you feel like it wasn't that big of a deal. It's a little blimp on the... But that's not what this was. This was, in fact, probably the most influential thing that's happened to you in your life, and you just don't realize how much it's probably influenced your life.
I think that whole Me Too movement, opened my eyes to a lot of it, because after freshman year, I really didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. I just went on with my life. I wanted to move on and have friends and date and go out and just...
You want to be normal.
Have fun. Yeah. And I did. I never ever really reconnected with this person. I never really saw him. And I know friends that did, and I don't bring that up, or I don't say, this person did X, I can't believe you're friends with them, because they didn't know either. Yeah. I mean, you're talking 20 years of friendship and you had no idea.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't like ruining people's lives. I don't like doing things and saying, well, they made a terrible mistake. So
he didn't ruin your life because you're a great person.
Well, thank you.
But he did something. He took something from you that day. He took an innocence. He took almost like a whimsical, childlike essence of you. Yeah. He took something.
Yeah.
And I understand you did not want to take his whole life, because you could have. You could have, your mom, your father, yourself, people, your brother, people in your life could have really made his life a living hell.
Of course. And I chose not to, because everyone says I'm too nice of a person.
No, I don't think that was too nice. I think you chose what was the best choice for you to get past it.
Well, and at the time, yeah, it was rough. But you know what? I had let it go, and I didn't think anything of it until that Me Too movement, and then I started thinking about that incident and realized that I'm a part of it. Yeah. I'm a part of that movement, and it happened to me, and it could happen to anybody. It could happen to our kids. It could happen to your neighbor. It could happen to anybody close to you. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't express it, if we don't... So, like I said, if we don't deal with it, it'll eat you up on the inside. You have to be able to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to talk about it with people you trust, people you care about. And what you're doing is amazing, because it's giving a voice to the voiceless, to people that felt like I did, that couldn't say anything, that are intimidated for one reason or another. So, well, that's why I wanted to do this.
This is why I wanted you. This is exactly. So, what I'm going to allow for you to do now,
you can hear my toddler. He must be having a moment. We all had our meltdown moments.
It's okay. I probably have one later on tonight.
Well, I don't know. He's my kid. Are you surprised?
Not at all. Little chunkly of a personality in a small body. That's all it is. But
he is.
I'm going to allow for you to give your pearls of wisdom just to this little small part, because I know you have many. But if you can look at a young woman or a young even male, because this happens to guys.
It does.
I always have to say that every time I talk about stuff. I address it to women because I'm a woman, but this can happen to guys too. Mm-hmm. What would you say?
Well, you know, I'm a mom of 2 boys, and I always tell my teenager, you know, when something isn't right, you speak up. Mm-hmm. If I could do anything different, I would have spoken up right then and there. Mm-hmm. I think my only regret was not yelling in class, and maybe I should have. But always speak up, always speak your truth, because no one else can do it for you. Mm-mm. And you have to be able to do that.
Yes.
You know?
That is such an important lesson, because you don't come into your voice until you're older.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really devastating when things like this happen to young people.
Well, and you're not alone. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
you're not.
But
Nobody
you do
feel
like
isolated, but you're not. There's so many people out there. There's so many people that have been through this that it's
kind of ridiculous.
I hate to use the word commonplace.
It is very common. I'm gonna wrap this part up and we're gonna start another segment, because I can dig into this like so.
I think she could.
I could dig into this like so bad right now, but I'm not going to in this segment. We're gonna wrap this one up, but just to kind of piggyback on what Stephanie has given, no matter what age, no matter where it takes place or who it is, because that's a big part of it, who. I think like when if it was a stranger, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like because this was a fellow classmate, it wasn't just some average Joe off the street.
Someone you knew.
It makes it harder, because she kept saying, I just didn't want to get him in trouble. I just want to cause waves. You know, that's what made this more difficult. If this was just like a completely dirty old man that came up to her and touched her, she probably would have been like, "What? What's going on?"
I probably would have smacked him.
Right. But like, it makes it hard when it is someone that we know. So do believe that we are not going to just sweep that under the rug and pretend like that was an easy choice. No, I think that's what made it a little bit even harder for her or other women or men in her situation. Whenever it's a family member, a friend, classmate, teacher, someone of authority, whenever it's something like that, it makes it 5 times harder for someone to report it, complain, scream, kick, fight, because in your mind, you also have a personal relationship behind what's going on right now.
Well, I spent all my time with these people. I mean,
and you have to go to school with them every day. So imagine you being in this position, and then the next day you got to get up and go to class and see this person, or bump into them in the hallway for crying out loud. I mean, it's a school. It's not like a city. It's a little school. So
I mean, it's high school.
It's like,
for me, it was high school.
It's crazy. So I do want to leave it there. Like Stephanie said, like, don't allow for your voice to be muted because of fear of the other person or the reaction. It's always better to say something because
to someone.
Because even if it's hard at that time, I don't think in the future you'll regret it. It might take time before you get to that point in your life where you don't regret it. Because I know a lot of people who have reported it and they had a huge backlash.
Yeah.
It was almost more devastating than actually the incident itself.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, why people are so afraid to say anything at all.
Right.
The backlash
can be worse, which is really sad that people are afraid because they don't want to. They don't
rock the boat.
Right. So that's kind of sad. But I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you again
for
this first part. We are going to come back with her because she has so much more to say. Things on a happier note too. So we will be back. All right.
I'll be here.
Thank you.